In this week's Rugby League Down South, HEMEL Stags rutting their stuff in Championship 1, the post-Rugby League World Cup temperature with the Gloucestershire ALL GOLDS, former Broncos Chief Executive Gus MACKAY reflecting on his time at the club, and the Guildford Giants tower over our featured amateur club of the week, and we're on the road to Wembley with Barrow Raiders on our Cup trail. First of all though, bit of a plea. Figures for the podcast are usually reasonably low whenever the Broncos aren't performing, and whether the general support for the Super League side in London is low. So the last few weeks, numbers have been struggling. Just wondering if you can, this week, publicise the podcast wherever you can. If you're a member of group Facebook pages for your clubs or your teams or localities, or you can tell people or email a mailing list of people, that'd be much appreciated. Just try and get the word out there so you can get the numbers up again, because we're concentrating on the Championship 1 and community clubs throughout the summer, as well as, of course, featuring the Broncos, as we would do throughout the year. But plenty other content in there for people to get their teeth stuck into, and plenty good stories, as was demonstrated in last week's programme, which was arguably one of the best that we've produced here at Rugby League Down South. And if you've got any ideas of where we can take the podcast in the future, places to publicise it or things to do, please do get in touch. Always happy to have suggestions on the email rldownsouth@gmail.com or on Twitter @Ian Ramsdale. You can always use the hashtag RLDS for Rugby League Down South to alert my attention. Thanks to you as well. Also, if you found the podcast through the Total RL website at totalrl.com, helping get the Rugby League Down South message out there. So welcome to any new listeners through the website. Now, I had a tweet this week from Andy saying plenty to talk about. HEMEL Stags ALL GOLDS and the Rugby League World Cup 2013 review. Also, former London Broncos players having great performances in Super League over the weekend too. Good tries from Amara Caro, Tony Clubb, and of course for Michael Channing against the Broncos playing for Castleford. And I said, great idea. I will do that on next week's programme, promise. We'll have a look and we'll take the temperature of a couple of the London players plying their trade elsewhere in the Super League and going rather well at the moment too. So that's on next week's programme. Andy, thank you for that. Like I say, suggest any bits or content you'd like to see on the programme and we'll put it on. This week, our first item comes from Championship 1 and HEMEL Stags proudly flying high. A win at South Wales at the weekend sees them sit towards the top end of the Championship 1 table. Now, one man who's seen a rather lot of development over there over the last 10 years or so, 11, 12, 13 years, is local boy Barry John Swindles. I always used to see his name crop up on match reports when reading the conference roundups many years ago on the BBC London Rugby League programme we used to do on BBC London 94.9. So he's been there for a while, still playing on with the Championship 1 club and still enjoying his time, as you will hear. If anything, you could just hear the passion in this interview and how much he enjoys playing for HEMEL Stags. So here is the now second rower for HEMEL, Barry John Swindles. Barry John, well, it's been a while since we've chatted to you on the programme. We should probably chat to you more regularly, because you've been at HEMEL for quite a few years, haven't you, now?
Yeah, quite a while now, yeah, about 13 years I've been there now, so...
13,
yeah,
1-3.
Yeah, 13, yeah, so I've been there a while, but still loving it, so...
Why, I dare say, why are you still there? You're obviously loving it. What is it that you've enjoyed about it? Because obviously they've only been semi-professional for the last couple of years, but, the previous 11 years, you were just playing for fun.
Yeah, definitely. That's where it started. I just went up there for a bit of fun sort of thing and just sort of loved the club, loved the people that run it and involved in it and that, and people behind the bar and stuff. So it's just a great place to be around, really.
And you're a local lad as well, aren't you?
Yeah, literally 2 minutes up the road, so it was the ideal place to go, sort of thing. So,
what have you made of the last couple of years and the development they've made then? Because it's obviously been a big change.
Yeah, it has been a big change, and say like Bob, the owner, he's done really well. It's something he's always sort of wanted to do, and he's done it all off his sort of own back, really, and he's done really well. He works hard. He still walks the street at night and stuff, doing the cash bit and that. So yeah, he does a lot for the club. He does work really hard, sort of thing. He deserves it.
Yeah, Bob was next on my list for if you couldn't talk to me today, so we'll maybe have to talk to Bob in the next few weeks. But like you say, everyone works hard to do stuff, and at the moment, the hard work's paying off on the field. The players are working hard, and you're flying high, aren't you, in Championship 1?
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're slowly getting to where we want to be. We're not exactly there yet, but we're getting there, definitely, yeah. Every year we get like a few boys over and stuff, so it takes a while to gel, but we're definitely getting there, so...
If you've not gelled yet this year, then you're onto good things, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. So we haven't been starting the games as well as we want to at the moment, but like it sort of takes us 20 minutes to get into the game, and then we start seeming to switch on a bit and do a bit of damage. So hopefully when we sort that bit out, we'll beat some big teams up the top there. So.
And I know you've played a few positions for the side over the years. I was chatting to Troy Perkins, your head coach, just last week, and he was saying he's moved you around. He said he's got you down for prop soon. Is that right? Is that the way you're going?
Yeah, I think that's the way it goes, isn't it? Like I was a bit skinnier and faster. I started at fullback, then to centre, then second row. And the older you get, I think the more you move up towards the pack, isn't you? So, we'll see.
Going to see you in the front row soon, no doubt.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Where are you playing? You're in the second row now, then.
Yeah, in second row at the moment. Yeah.
And how are you finding that? You enjoying it? Like you say,
love
maybe
it,
not as nimble as you were.
Yeah, exactly. I love it there. It's like more in the middle, more physical, more tackling. I just love it. So get on your hand of the ball quite a bit as well. Yeah, and I'm not as quick as I used to be. So.
You say that. How many years are you hoping to play on for? Because you look at certain players. They get to 10 years maybe, and they're thinking testimonials and retire and whatever. I know that obviously that's not been your career as such, but you're hoping to play on.
Yeah, I'll say as long as I'm still loving it and that, and my body don't sort of agree with me carrying on at the moment, and my family keeps saying, you should give up and that, but no, I still absolutely love it. Like, every year I've still got the buzz of playing and that, so as long as that's there, I just keep going.
And did you, you talk about enjoying it, but did you ever have higher aspirations to play, further up the leagues, or, to be in a semi-professional club sooner, or were you just happy to play for HEMEL?
Yeah, I'll say I think that's everyone's doing it, to sort of play at the top sort of thing, but yeah, I've just always I absolutely love being around HEMEL and like the club. I actually love it, the bits up there, so I've just sort of gone to season by season and just always seem to have gone back there, I just love it being around that place, so.
And surely if a time ever does come that you do stop playing, I'm sure you'll not stop going to HEMEL.
No, definitely not, no. Definitely not. So I definitely would either be around it, involved with a team or something else, always be up there.
And you ever thought about coaching or anything like that, or do you think that once you finish playing, you'll go and you'll enjoy a couple of drinks and you'll, maybe carry the kit on or something like that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if I could cope with not being in a sort of a team environment when I finish, really. So I think I'd have to try and stay around the team or do something, give me something to do at the weekend.
Well, it's a long way off yet, and like you say, going well at the moment in Championship 1, and an opportunity again in the Cup this weekend.
Yeah, we've got a big game away to Doncaster. It's going to be tough, but we got there and give it our best crack and see what happens.
I guess games like this, though, are the ones that really can not make your season as such, but they're really good days out. You had a great day out last year at Wakefield, and this gives you another opportunity just to test yourself, I guess.
Exactly, definitely, yeah. So last year went to Wakefield, and it was like, for some of the boys and myself, it was like one of the best days out we've had, sort of thing. So, like, you always dream for like that big draw, so again, Doncaster would be another good day out there, and just give it a go and see what happens. And
there's always the element, isn't there, that they all want to beat the Southerners, and the Southerners want to get one over the Northerners. So it's always nice and spicy when it gets to these games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, say as well, they're obviously a league above us, so want to cause a bit of an upset. So obviously, I think maybe it'd be a bit of a walk in the park for them, but I think differently. So.
And what about for HEMEL's season this year? It was playoffs last year. I'm sure you'll be hoping for that again. It's the way that the side are going at the moment. I think you're third, aren't you, in the Championship 1 table? So I guess you're looking to try and put yourself up there and keep up there through the season.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely our aim. Sort of playoffs, definitely. Like, try and get top four. It'd be tough. There's some big teams in this league this year, but that's definitely our aim. So we're still a bit off where we want to be at the moment, but hopefully when we get there, we'll be competing with the big teams at the top. So.
And with most Championship 1 players, when I talk to them, I've always got to ask them what their day job is and how they find it fitting in with the rugby. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's alright. So I'm only 2 minutes away, and so for some of the other boys that work and travel from London, it's a bit harder. They literally get a train straight away, cab from the station to the ground and straight into their gear to train, sort of thing. So it's a lot harder for a few of the other boys than me, but we all seem to manage it.
What is your day job?
I was on a concrete pump, so just laying like concrete lines and pumping concrete for foundations around the back of houses and stuff.
Wow, I was going to say, it goes back to my engineering days myself of doing the old concrete stuff. I mean, it sounds like fairly complex. I mean, concrete's quite dangerous, isn't it, in a way? You've got to be really careful.
It's quite hard work. It's like lumping the pipes around and like running the lines across and from the truck to the back of the house. It can be quite a day, but yeah, you get through it.
If only enthusiasm was contagious, it would be great, wouldn't it? And I'm sure that it is reasonably contagious within the HEMEL Stags squad. We're having Barry John around, so great to see him carrying on. I'm sure he wants to carry on for a long time. As he says, the body's maybe not agreeing with him, and the body agreeing with the family. But no, absolutely fantastic stories, fantastic people that you see operating in the game in Rugby League down south. And, it's those stories that we like to feature on the podcast. So if you have any suggestions or you know people, anybody like that's got stories to tell that we might be able to talk to, then of course your suggestions are always welcome, like I say, with anything for the programme. So we'll stay in Championship 1 then, and we'll talk to the Gloucestershire ALL GOLDS, the University of Gloucestershire ALL GOLDS, to give them their full title. Doing well, aren't they, at the moment as well? A win over Gateshead the weekend away. This in the week as well that the Rugby League World Cup review was published with some impressive figures. If you've seen them, if you haven't, I'd go and have a look. So I thought we'd take the temperature in the southwest and talk to Rob Webber, the Chief Executive of the University of Gloucestershire ALL GOLDS. Rob, well, the ALL GOLDS 2014, your second season in Championship 1, and it's all going rather well at the moment, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The team morale in the camp has never been higher. We've obviously played 4 games, 3 league games, 1 Challenge Cup game. We've picked up 2 wins from 4 and 1 bonus point from the York game. The Rochdale game didn't go the way we wanted it to, obviously, but as far as Championship 1's considered, we've started off really well, and things are progressing very nicely down here.
I know that your first concern necessarily isn't maybe the first team, but what has been the difference this year? I spoke to one of your players a couple of weeks ago who said, the intensity was upped this year, and Brad was getting his message across and sort of saying, play like I did, and be a fighter. Is that a physical difference, or have you got more skill? What do you think it is this year?
Well, I think we've got a lovely balance of experience and youth down here now in the squad. We've got some guys on loan from Dewsbury and Sheffield and Rochdale who have really added that sort of experience, that knowledge of the game, that ability to show the players which lines to run. And once mixed in with some local lads, some guys that are living in the area, that have all the skills and talent but just don't know them, it's become a real recipe for success, and our results so far, I think, truly have shown that.
And obviously it is only your second season in Championship 1. It was all very new last year. How is it, sort of from your point of view, going back over things now and doing things, I guess, again?
Oh, crikey, we wouldn't want to be... this time 12 months ago was a completely different club. We were sort of blind as far as the world of professional rugby league was. We've the last 12 months, the experience that I myself have gained and everybody in the club has gained has been completely invaluable to everything we're doing. The club is has a completely different feel. We know what we're doing. We know which way we need to go, and we know sort of what we need to do to make ourselves successful.
And I guess, is that one of the reasons why maybe things are showing on the pitch as well, in that obviously you've been there, you've done that, and now you're concentrating on the things that make this a club and are not, I guess, feeling your way around?
Absolutely. I mean, last year was very much year zero for us. We had to learn the basic operational guidelines and make sure that we did our basics right. This year we've really been able to develop on that. We've started to infiltrate the university more and more, use their facilities, use their staff as we go, and that's been able to create such a professional atmosphere. I mean, and developments were really shown last Sunday. Not only did we have a fantastic victory up in Gateshead, and on the operational side of things, everything went very, very smoothly, but for the first time ever, the Southwest produced an academy level fixture at under 20s, where we took two teams all the way up to Gateshead, treated them like professional players should be, staying in hotels, being looked after, etc. And for the first time, the Southwest produced not only a Championship 1 side, but also an Academy under 20 side, who again didn't pick up the performance they wanted, but what a day for the Southwest Rugby League, and hopefully there's more to come in the future.
And this week there was a review or the announcement, I guess, that the findings of a review into the Rugby League World Cup last year. Some, I guess, impressive figures just as a top line. Looking at the numbers there, it seems like it went down on the whole, and there's the proof very well.
It did, yes, yeah. I mean, I was at the game in Bristol, the America Cook Islands game, and the buzz, not just obviously I was talking to our head of community, Dan Garbutt, yesterday about it, and not just the buzz of the game itself, with the 7,500 people watching International Rugby League at the Memorial Stadium, but the way that the whole city bought into it. I heard, I'm a Bristol lad, I heard things on radio all week, the week before, the week after, from people saying, oh, it was fantastic, we loved it. It really left a footprint that hopefully we as a club can capitalise on. The additional exposure that it's given us has been fantastic, and I truly believe that as people start to wise up more and more to the restructuring that the RFL have put in for the leagues from next year, and the excitement and the awareness that a club like the All Golds could one day potentially be hosting clubs like Wigan and St Helens and Leeds, I really do think that it's going to capture the imagination of the locals and the regional staff.
And with that as well, it's interesting you mentioned, you're hearing it on the radio all week, and the fact that there were things previewing the game. Is that maybe where an area, and this is in no disrespect to the area where you are, but, in London, the Rugby League World Cup didn't have a massive impact. Even when it got to the semi-final stage, there was obviously some coverage. But the fact is, where there is slightly smaller media areas, is that maybe where you would benefit in a certain scenario like this?
I believe so. I mean, the Southwest is very much a rugby area. Gloucester in particular, it's all they think about all day, every day. It's got the right feel. I mean, and this is to me, this is a compliment. Gloucester has the same feel as the likes of Wigan and Featherstone. It's got that rugby league feel about it, and I truly believe that. If, for example, the RFL were able to give somewhere in the Southwest an England international or any international or a Magic Weekend or something of that nature hosted at Kingsholm or Ashton Gate, I think you'd sell it out, and I'm convinced of it.
What about Super League games on the road? I know Broncos have tried it in the last few years. It was tried as a sort of round of fixtures a number of years ago and never really worked, I guess, with different marketing behind the game. One of my ideas, over the last few years has been for each club in Super League to take one of their games to a new or expanding or developing or place that doesn't have rugby league there. Is that something, you'd be potentially be an interest in you hosting something like that?
Oh, absolutely. There'd most certainly be an interest. What we are very careful to do, we don't want to run too fast before we can walk. I mean, this is only our second season. We've started to pick up some great results, and the media coverage, local and nationally, about the All Golds is building very, very nicely. The last thing we'd want to do is jump 2 feet into putting a huge game on like that until we know we've got everything else underneath it. Now, like I say, the All Golds as a club and the exposure that we're getting and crowd numbers are starting to increase is absolutely fantastic. I think 2015, 2016, we could very, very easily host something like that where we'd have a lot of locals who know about rugby league and know enough about it to really buy into that sort of product. the obviously Gloucester has 5 Rugby Union World Cup games hosted at Kingsholm next year, so there's a massive buzz around the county for rugby in general, and I think it's a real opportunity for us to strike on that, to say something along the lines of, what a fantastic Rugby Union World Cup, went really well, Gloucester really bought into it. Now part of what we want to do is part of the Rugby League legacy is there's then going to be an international every year, or a Super League game every year. I think that is personally the time to strike.
And obviously, the business side of things at the University of Gloucestershire ALL GOLDS, and sort of what's been going on. You say that the numbers and that the crowd figures are going up. Why is that, and how much of it is, if any, down to the World Cup?
I believe it's definitely down to the World Cup. We were able to access World Cup databases to start spreading the news of what we're doing. So that certainly helps. I think that, and there's no sort of hiding this, we started winning on the field. That's why people want to support a winning team. Because we've started to pick up some results and we're looking good in the table, the squad's building nicely. That is why people are starting to support us, and people are starting to find out more information about us, buying extra shirts, etc., etc. And that, for me, is the most crucial factor of everything we are doing. We are starting to win, and therefore people want to buy into what we're doing.
So that's Rob Webber from the ALL GOLDS down at the University of Gloucestershire, going well and enjoying their Championship 1 season, and it sounds like they're doing well off the field too. And we mentioned earlier on the BBC London Rugby League programme, which I used to present a couple of years ago before the schedule changes. There was a great feature that we made with some audio that good rugby league journalist and fan of the show Steve Devonshire did. A fan of the show? I'd say a friend of the show. I think he's a fan of the show as well, but I should probably call him a friend of the show in Steve Devonshire, helping us do some reports at the Hive on Thursday night. If you haven't seen the Rugby League Down South audio boo feed, go and check it out. But one other thing that Steve did a few interviews with the men who took part in Rob Purdham's testimonial golf day back in 2011. I packaged a load of stuff together and we put it out as part of a nice little, I dare say, a spoof package. It's a great package. It's part of the programme that we had on BBC London. So if you want to have a listen, I've actually posted it on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. I should probably try and get the audio and stick it here in the podcast as well, and maybe do that next week. But yeah, it's on. I want to put it on YouTube so people can listen to it. Go and have a listen. It's great fun. Hope you enjoy it. And yes, if I can, I'll stick it in the podcast next week. It'd be a good idea. Maybe we should go back into the archives and relive some old bits of content from programmes gone by, maybe over the next few weeks. But go and find it. It's on YouTube. Search for my name or Rugby League Down South, and you'll find it under my feed, one of the latest videos there. And don't forget as well, you can also watch. I'll say watch, and there's no pictures there, although I may do a video podcast in the future, as suggested by a London Broncos loyal on Twitter. But you can listen to the backlog of all Rugby League Down South programmes on YouTube. So if I can only keep 10 hours of stuff on my host page for the podcast, so all the older ones are on YouTube if you want to go and check them out, or re-listen to anything from the past which you now can't find on your iPod or the MP3 playing device. Next week, just while we're talking about Championship 1 as well, we'll talk to the South Wales Scorpions boss, Mike Grady. They go up against Scholars, both looking for their first win, so we'll hear from Mike next week. Now then, let's talk about the London Broncos. And last week, their chief executive, Gus McKay, departed the club. We had a chat at the end of the Castleford game. Now, Gus wrote a message in the matchday programme. I wanted to try and summarise the things that he'd said. He's taken a lot of flack over the last few years as Gus McKay. I've stayed away particularly from commenting specifically on the situation. I think that things in general haven't been done the right way, and people can point fingers. But the club has a new direction now, and Gus McKay no longer part of the direction that they're going with this restructure. Now, I had a chat with him, and it's a fairly easygoing interview. I didn't particularly want to press him. I didn't see the point, really, on pressing him about things that have gone on. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. I just wanted to reflect on his time in the game and with the Broncos to find out what he made of his time and where he thinks the club is going. You may value or you may not value the things that he says in this interview, but I thought it was worth doing, worth having a chat, and here he is, Gus MACKAY, the now no longer chief executive of London Broncos, talking to me after the Castleford game.
Gus, 3 years on, I mean, first of all, what a 3 years it's been. I mean, London Rugby League has an illustrious history, an up and down history, and you can now walk away saying I've been part of a big up and down as well.
Yeah, it's been a rollercoaster ride, if I'm honest. I think, as I've always said, the end goal was to try and find a home and make sure we survived, and we are here today and we've survived and we've got a new home and onwards and upwards, and I just hope that those that are here will continue with it and make it and get the club stronger and stronger as we go in the years ahead.
We seem to have spent far too long in these 3 years talking about grounds and locations and plans in the future. I mean, how much of your time has that occupied in the role that you've been? I mean, you say that you've got this place, but that must have been a huge part of actually what you've done. Yeah,
it was, and I never hid away from that. That was always top of the agenda, and it does take time when you're trying to find the right deal. And we did the Gillinghams and the Leighton Orients, and we've been everywhere, I suppose. But this was crucial to our future. This deal, it's been going on probably almost a year with conversations, and we finally got there just before Christmas. So it was a big relief. But we set out as a club to make sure that we didn't go into administration, and that was a big focus for all of us. So that was an achievement in itself for everyone, and I'm just proud to have been part of the club for the last 3 years.
And I know that as we talk now, you're still a Broncos employee, but when people listen to this in the next month, you won't be. But when you look back on your time and you look at the Hive and you look at where Broncos are now, has the right decision been taken? Is this the best that the club could have hoped for in all this? You don't look back and think, maybe we could have done that, or that might have been better?
No, I don't. I firmly believe and will always believe that this is the right location and right venue. The key to its success is going to be what happens around it in the local community, in the development and the marketing of the club and all of that. But we've got the venue now, so it's up to everyone to really get behind and make it work, because it's the right stadium. It's got a good feel about it. We saw it tonight. We've seen it other games, smaller crowds that suit us. So there probably were bigger venues that would have cost more money, but I think this is the right fit for the size of us as a club, our attendances, and hopefully it will just get stronger and stronger.
You mentioned in the Matchday programme today that obviously You've enjoyed your time. It's been a roller coaster. You've thanked lots of people for everything that's happened. Have you enjoyed it? I mean, you knew nothing about rugby league really when you started this role. Has it been an entertaining, a good job for you to do, an enjoyable job?
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I've worked for a very wonderful man in David Hughes, who's been the backbone of the club for a number of years. And I think one of the biggest, I suppose, frustrations is that when you're in professional sport, you can't always say to people what is actually going on behind the scenes. And I've copped a lot of criticism. I accept that. I know that I haven't got everything right. But if only when my book comes out, everyone reads it, because I think it'll be a good read, because there's a lot going on. And at the end of the day, we're here to tell a story, and that was always our focus. But it's been enjoyable. It's been fun. It's been challenging, stressful. But look, I've done it 3 years. I'm proud of what I've achieved. And I'll be a fan, because 3 years ago I didn't know much about this game. I came into it with open eyes. And I'll never forget being top of Super League, and I mentioned it in my article. I think 5 out of 7, and I thought, what's all the fuss about? Because this is an easy game. Well, coming into the season was a different story. But we've had some fun. There's been some heartache. But that's the sport. And I think we've just got to take the positives from it and make sure that it survives and give it a chance.
Are you happy with how things have been in terms of the stuff that you've had to work on? Do you wish maybe that you didn't have to oversee a ground move, and that maybe you could have been a bit more business focused on things, or do you just accept a role as it comes along and take the rough with the smooth? Yeah,
I think as chief executive in any organisation, you've got to diversify and get your hands dirty and roll your sleeves up and get stuck in. But the biggest problem that we had was you couldn't really plan ahead because of your future uncertainty and all that. So it was always there, taking time up. So, did you take your eye off marketing? Yes, probably, but where did we get to? So we got to where we are now. So it's been difficult trying to juggle those balls. And then, of course, you make decisions about budgets get cut on marketing and all that. And I think, it just needs a real solid plan now. We've got a home to take it forward and some investment. And when I talk investment, I talk of investment across the whole of the game, the grassroots in particular, because we've got some exciting youngsters coming through.
And when you talk about this being now part of your history, when you look back on it as an outsider, where do they need to improve, and what does the club need to do? Where do the club need to go as a former CEO? Where do they need to sort of continue the good avenues to make sure there is success from what you've seen?
I think that, the big thing is unfortunately the cuts that came about in sporting and funding will have an impact. So that needs to be addressed and get that development going at the grassroots, as I said earlier. And I think as a club, the club now, with the structures that we've done and remodelling it, if we can get through this year, then it's in a good position with the new TV deal as a solid business. So, David Hughes needs some support. He needs some more investment around him. I think we've got a venue now that takes one part of that, but it needs some more capital investment. So that's a project that's got to be worked on. And then from there, just develop the team. That has to be the big part of it, because, history's there, the records are there. Sport, and to be successful, you need a winning team on the pitch. And if you can get that half right, you've then got half a chance of building it off the field. And
what next for you? Where are we going to see you, or what's next on your agenda?
Well, on holiday, I think. No, look, I've as I said, this was something I agreed with the chairman. I put my hand up, which was, I think, a very unselfish thing to do, but for the interest of everyone, I put my hand up. So, I walk out of here with my head held high. And next move, next challenge, who knows? I'm very open to options. I'm looking at what I want to do, but I do need a bit of time out, because the last 6 months has been very draining. A few golf courses might get a hammering, and just a bit of time to reflect and make the right steps in the next move.
And you mentioned it was a difficult decision for you. Are you sad to be leaving?
I think you're always sad whenever you leave an organisation, especially one that you've been so engrossed in. And I've said that in all the roles I've had, because sport's about passion, and if you're going to do it, you've got to get into it and be passionate about it, and it consumes a large part of your life. It's not a 9-to-5 job. So, I've made some great friends, and those memories will live with me forever. So, Broncos is a very strong club. It bounces back from when it's gone, and it's got great character, and it's just something about the club. So yeah, I'll be back, but yeah, I'm sad to be leaving.
And when you go and then you come back and you do return 5-10 years time, what would you like to see? On what is this club capable of?
What I'd like to see is I'd like to see that the club has developed here at this venue, that obviously the attendances are up, the team is playing well, and there's a solid business going forward. And it starts from now, really, because London as a capital city with the population and talent, it's got a huge opportunity, but it does need investment to get it going. And I think we've all been guilty, whether it be myself as chief exec or my predecessors. We've dabbled in it, and haven't quite got it right. And we're fortunate to have had the support of David. So now's the time to really, not rely on David and kick it forward as a proper business and find some more investment and make it sustainable.
So they're the thoughts of Gus MACKAY, who's now left the London Broncos, the former chief executive, as it is now. Just thought it was worth getting his thoughts. For what it is worth, you can make your own judgments on where the club goes, and his comments on his time during his time at the London Broncos. And as we said last week, now we'd concentrate on an amateur club every week on the programme. The interview with the Southend Spartans that we did last week went down very well. It was a great interview, great chat. So again, if you'd like your club featured, it can give you, I say, good exposure. I won't blow my own trumpet. We're talking about the figures being low before, but it's a nice exposure for a club to get your story out and get people to know more about what you do and what you're all about. So always happy to have people suggest or offer to come on the programme. One of those was the Guildford Giants. They got in touch and said they'd happily come on the programme. So I had a chat with Dean Smith from the Guildford Giants. Well, Dean, you were the chairman last year, you're the chairman this year, and it seems like many other clubs, rugby league clubs in the south, steadily building and steadily growing.
Yeah, we've got a lot of changes this year, and I think particularly with our men's team, we struggled through a little bit last year. This year, I think it's going to be very different, and we're really positive about what's going to happen now this summer.
Because you've got a new coaching team, haven't you? And when we say new coaching team, a rather experienced coaching team at that.
Yeah, experience is quite exotic as well, because our head coach this year is going to be Jean-Valery Garcia, who was also our club sponsor with effect from last year. Now, Jean-Valery played a lot of rugby league in France when he was younger. He was a regional selection for the Aquitaine in Jacques Farou's France Rugby League, which was a big summer project they did many years ago. And he comes as well from a long line of rugby league people. I mean, his father was a big player for Limoux in the French Championship in the 1970s. So he's got that passion and a bit of experience, and I think that'll carry us a long way this year.
And he's going to be assisted by Lee Hutchinson.
By Lee, yeah, and Lee is, if anything, Lee is even more experienced. I think Lee, with his time commitments, can't commit to being a head coach for us, but I think it's going to be invaluable. Lee has played professionally in 3 countries, in France, in New Zealand, and in the north of England as well. He's a good guy, really knows his stuff. He's been around the area quite a long time, has been itching to get involved in rugby league again, so this is an opportunity for us. And, Lee's obviously going to come in and pass on some of that knowledge to a lot of our guys who perhaps haven't had that grounding in rugby league over many, many years that Lee has.
How do you find these guys, or do they find you?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Lee works in Surrey, and I think he just picked up a number off our website and called us out of the blue at the end of last season. I think he's also got a connection. Knows one or two of the guys for connection with one of the local rugby union clubs where he's not involved, but he has been around over time. In Jean Valerie's case, his son plays in our minis, and that all started 2 years ago when his boy came around. He never really realised that he's such a big rugby league guy, but he is, and he's not only sort of put his money where his mouth is through his company ALS Petrophysics, which is our sponsor now. But he's also willing to get his hands dirty and, again, pass on his experience, which is fantastic.
I think I'm right in saying that this is your 6th season in the South East Regional, is that right?
6 seasons now, yeah. It's been the kind of up and down roller coaster you'd expect. I think we had one appearance in the final probably in our 2nd year, and I think the last couple of years our playing strength has dwindled a little bit, but we've got a lot of things happening this year that are going to improve that further. And in a lot of ways, this might be the best year we've had. I'll just elaborate a little bit on the French connection and things that we're doing through Jean Valery and through ALS Petrophysics.
Okay.
And part of that involves bringing over a couple of French lads who play at a high level in France. They're going to do a bit of summer work for Jean Valerie's company, and weekends they're going to turn out for the Giants. And I think that will just bolster our playing strength a lot, so that we're going from a situation last year where we were bottom of the pile. We recruited a lot of English guys of good standard as well this summer, and I think all told we should have a very competitive team this year.
The question is always, can you fill your squad or team with people in the local area? What was it like down in Surrey or Guildford? There we go, got there in the end. What's it like round there, for players and for interest?
Well, there's a lot of players and a lot of interest, and I think, we took, in common with a lot of the other teams, we took about 100 people to the Rugby League semi-final at Wembley this year, and I think it just shows that there are people who are interested in rugby league. We have, if I was looking at where our players come from, it's not all from one club. So we're not dependent on, say, Guildford Rugby Union or Guildfordians Rugby Union to provide our players. I would say there are probably 6 or 7 rugby union clubs that our players are dotted around in. Some guys at the university, some guys that don't play any form of rugby union at all. And so there's a good mix, and I think we're really scratching the surface. I mean, bear in mind as well, we do have a connection with Woking College, where JP Lawrence is putting together again a good team of college guys and 1 or 2 ex-college guys that are going to run our 2nd team in the Merit League this year. and so there's younger players coming through there as well. And we're just starting to see a couple of guys coming through from the University of Surrey as well, that we can hopefully help them to form the backbone of a team for years to come now.
And if people search you out, they can come along if they're down in the area?
Oh, we'd love them to, yeah, absolutely love them to. So, anybody looking for us and just wanting to get hold of us, it's Tuesday evenings training. Obviously, minis and juniors as well with their Saturday mornings. But if anybody wants to get hold of us, the best way is to drop me an email at guildfordgiants@gmail.com.
There we go. Well, best of luck for the season. You're just starting pre-season, aren't you? And then your season starts in a couple of weeks' time.
That's right. Yeah, we're training. We're training this evening, and every Tuesday night from this point onwards. And the beginning of May, we've got our first match, which is a home match at Enfield in Guildford. So really looking forward to that.
That's Dean Smith then from the Guildford Giants. If you'd like your club featured, either email rldownsouth@gmail.com or you can tweet me at Ian Ramsdale. If you can use the hashtag RLDS, that'd be great, trying to plump up the brand over the next few weeks and months. And that's just about it then for the programme for this week. Just worth mentioning Barrow. They're playing Keighley in the Challenge Cup this weekend. We are following the route that the South West London Chargers would have taken through the competition as they went, but they ended up losing to Milford Marlins. Milford Marlins lost to Barrow. Barrow now playing at Keighley. I did try, and I was trying to get someone on from Milford Marlins. We didn't manage it. I've tried as well with Barrow just briefly this morning. Just to summarise, I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock and I had no content for the programme other than the chat with Gus MACKAY that you just heard. Within 3 hours, by 9 o'clock, I'd already confirmed all the other content for this programme so far, to the good nature of the people in Rugby League down south. Because of my time constraints, had to get this done earlier than I would usually do. I had put a request in for Barrow, but I haven't heard anything back. So we'll see if we can do that over the next few weeks. I know one listener in particular of the podcast was looking forward to hearing from Barrow on the programme. I haven't been able to do it in the short space of time, but we will see if we can do it, and I promise I did try. I wanted to talk to them about the review in West Cumbria as well, with the Workington-Whitehaven potential partnership and working together in the future, and maybe how Barrow feel about that. But I just haven't had the time at the moment. I'm writing another pantomime amongst other things in my life, and yes, I am. But right now, this episode is behind you. Sorry, couldn't help it. We're back next week. Thank you for listening. Best wishes to Barrow in the Challenge Cup. Best wishes to all of our sides competing this weekend. And like I say, we'll be back with another Rugby League Down South.